Happy Saturday afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I am joined always by Keelan. How you doing, man?
Really good in yourself. How about you? How do you feel?
Not too bad, not too bad. We're about WandaVision, the finale, the season series finale.
Right.
Perhaps no seasons after this. This is kind of the end of the line for the WandaVision series. I don't know if I can say that I feel exactly 100% good about that last episode. I don't know. What about you?
I do not feel 100%. I'm about 72% on that last episode.
Mm.
When I say this, I don't want anyone to take offense to the way I'm phrasing this, but it is the writing. I just feel like as a writer, as anyone who is sitting in that room, and of course there are more people who have the final decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I were a writer on this show and this last episode was a part of my body of work, I'd be having a long talk with somebody.
Yeah.
And not because it was poorly written, but because it was almost as if, hey, so did somebody's scene just get pulled, or how did that work out?
Yeah. There's a lot of missing things and maybe even some empty feelings. And that's kind of where I stand on this. But before we get into the details, I do off the top, this is a spoiler discussion for the season finale of WandaVision, episode 9. So if you have not seen that episode, please click away and go watch the episode first and come back to us and, hear what we have to say about the whole thing. But this is your fair warning. This is a spoiler discussion for episode 9 of WandaVision. Turn back now if you don't want to be spoiled. So look, up until this episode, I've pretty much, in my mind, it's been a 10 for 10. Like it's been a solid 10 out of 10 series. And you know what? Even 90% of the last episode is a 10 out of 10. But there's just some things, that for me take it down a couple notches. And before I begin to talk about, where I stand on this whole thing, I want to say my disappointment has nothing to do with fan theories or my speculation about what was going to happen. Like, I know that if I speculate something, it's not meant to happen, it's not destined to happen. Just because I theorize about something, like, it's okay if it doesn't happen. I don't get hurt feelings about that kind of stuff. Ultimately for me, what hurt it the most, and I guess we can kind of just jump into it and then we can pick up the pieces as we go along. But for me, what hurt it the most was the ending. And that was, for me, the difficulty I had with this. So give you a little bit more explanation. Wanda at the end has to kill Vision and her children. And
let's call it reabsorb rather than kill.
Well, I'm going to call it kill because that's what happened. I don't want to this reabsorb scene because this is what the issue I have with it is. Like, you're literally killing your children and the person that you love. And so that was supposed to be an emotional impact, one of which we mentioned in previous episodes. If they have to kill Vision again, I'm not for it. Yep, like that was a bridge too far. It was one too many. And now I feel like I've been emotionally exploited because they just killed Vision and the children off again.
Right.
But to get to the final cut scene, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure. But it opens the door for the possibility that it wasn't the last we'll see of Vision and the children. So what I am upset about is that they tried to have the best of both worlds. They tried to have the emotional impact of Wanda killing Vision and her children, but then give you that little tease at the end that, they may not be disappeared. She might find them in the end. And I'm like, okay, well, which one is it? Do you want to be this dramatic ending that, feels hollow and empty? Or do you want to give us some hope? Like, you can't have it both ways. Mm-hmm. Now that ending that we just saw of Wanda, erasing her family doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of meaningless. I really felt the same way. I felt the exact same way.
So, like, ultimately what happened for me is that this is a critique I have for a lot of modern mythology. And what tends to happen, and this, is that they follow the hero's journey up until the last act, and then they try to subvert the hero's journey by not giving you the reward and payout. And I really resent that sort of storytelling because it's only taking away from the audience and it's not providing any cathartic moment for the completion of the series. And that's where I felt this kind of landed. It left me feeling hollow and not necessarily like there was a cathartic moment where the hero triumphed in the end. You know what I mean? Like Wanda didn't win, Wanda didn't triumph, she didn't, you know, like for all intents and purposes, she's living in a shack in Sokovia right now, and you know, like all alone. So it's like, so that hollow feeling of like going and using the hero's journey for 90% of your story, and then at the last moment taking it away and saying, oh well, she doesn't get any of the things that we set up that could happen. That's my biggest issue with it.
I agree with everything you just said, and because we're gonna start with that damn cabin scene.
Yeah.
So I had a couple of questions from that cabin scene, and if I'm being honest, they had nothing to do with Vision and the children. Like nothing to do with Vision and the children. But I totally understand where that comes from as well, right? My main concern with that cabin scene is Wanda holding the Scarlet Witch captive, or
I didn't get that either. Yeah,
and
so there's two of her. Is she pulling a Doctor Strange?
That is exactly where I was going with that. That is
Yeah.
exactly where I was going with that. It's like, so did she literally split herself into two entities in order to harness the power, learn, control the power, or simply out of another deranged act of, I don't want to say an act of valor of any sort, because I don't think Wanda thinks the Scarlet Witch is as dangerous as she's being told that the Scarlet Witch is. However, I think Wanda is going to have to understand the same thing that Jean Grey had to understand when we were talking about the Phoenix Force. The Scarlet Witch and Wanda are not one and the same. And that's what that last scene said to me. And it takes us back to that entire moment we had about the Phoenix Force and all of that, which I said back then, I wasn't really excited if that was the direction they were going to take.
Yeah.
But it seems like that is where they left us. Like, oh, see, they're not, the Scarlet Witch isn't Wanda. The Scarlet Witch is in Wanda. And I was just,
I don't like that necessarily.
I didn't pinch between I pinched right here. Like,
take that out of my head.
Right.
Yeah, but you know what's interesting though too, because I think I see where you're coming from with that scene. I kind of interpreted it a little bit differently, and I hope that maybe my interpretation is right, because I certainly don't want your interpretation to be right. Like, I don't want this concept of like an unbridled force that lives inside another, you know, like person that can't be controlled and then like only turns off and on, convenient for the plot.
I mean, we grew up with the Power Rangers. We don't need a green and a white ranger again. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, exactly. But way I kind of saw that. So, you know, you see Wanda and she's having a cup of coffee on her porch in Sokovia in this cabin. I did notice that there's runes on the walls. So she's been putting up runes around her house, which is, you know, good thinking. But I was kind of thinking that perhaps the Wanda that was in the bedroom was the astral Wanda. Like in Doctor Strange, how in the
multiverse.
Yeah, well, like so, you know, in Doctor Strange, while he's sleeping, his astral body is like reading texts and books and stuff.
Right.
There's a scene like that. I kind of thought that maybe that's what they were doing, where Wanda is like going about her normal life, but her astral self is reading through the Darkhold. And that could be perhaps why she heard her children, because the astral plane connects all the multiverses together. So
see, I would love for that to be the route. And the reason I felt it was more of the Doctor Strange, let's call it the duplicity spell that he utilizes, is because he utilizes that also in battle, right?
Yeah.
And to the runes were exactly why I asked the question, is the Scarlet Witch trapped?
Yeah.
Because nobody's saying Wanda didn't have powers. What they're saying, like, there was even the scene where Agnes is explaining to her what the Scarlet Witch is and how the Scarlet Witch comes to be. She's essentially telling Wanda, you're not born the Scarlet Witch. You become the Scarlet Witch through these trials and errors. It's like when Colossus told Deadpool, is, you know, what was it, 3 actions, or, you know, a certain amount of actions though. So it's like she makes a certain amount of decisions in life, and now she has become the Scarlet Witch. And a part of that, like we alluded to, I want to say 2 episodes ago, when we discovered that she had come into contact with the Mind Stone, when her powers had kind of boomed onto the scene.
Yeah.
That's where I'm like, and I like, you don't want my version to be real. I want your version to be real. I want that to be what's actually happening. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I just feel like the rooms, there were a couple of context clues for me that it seemed more like a prison.
Yeah. I can kind of see how they would want to set that up too, because if the next logical step for Wanda is in Doctor Strange, then she has to go find Doctor Strange to get help on how to manage her power.
Right, which takes us right to where they say that this series is supposed to lead us, which is into the Doctor Strange movie.
Right.
And that's what she goes to him for. And then he realizes he can't help her, and she has to go meet with the Sorcerer Supreme and realize, damn, he can hardly help her. But I'm jumping way ahead of what they're giving us. So.
Yeah. Well, and even Agatha says, you're more powerful than the Sorcerer Supreme. So they did mention Doctor Strange in this episode.
I mean, I'm sorry. I said the Sorcerer Supreme twice. I said Strange then Supreme. I'm Dr. Fate. Dr. Fate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like, I definitely could see that. I can see where she would probably, like, now that, especially with that final cutscene, she hears her children in the multiverse and then maybe seeks out Doctor Strange to help find them. There was some other issues that I had with this episode, and I really have to say that I don't like the way they did Pietro.
I didn't know how we were going to get to that, but yes.
Yeah, I'm just jumping all over the place because I don't think we need to talk laterally now. We can just kind of talk about all the stuff. Yeah,
that's fine. I'm confused. I'm so confused.
Yeah,
I'm just confused by that.
I'm confused by that as well. I mean, like, it seemed to me like this would have been a perfect opportunity to bring in the X-Men universe, or at least hint that the X-Men universe is in the same universe as this one. But it seems to me that Quicksilver, as we know him, the Evan Peters Quicksilver, is just this guy named Ralph Boner. Yeah, that lived in Westview and then was basically kidnapped by Agatha and made into Quicksilver. Like, so my question is, like, did the enchantment also give him the powers?
That's my assumption.
Which is so strange, because it's like, so what does that mean for I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get why they would even throw that in there. Like, if that's just one of those, like, oh, see, hey, we did thing and you remember this guy and it's not really going to tie to anything, then I'm kind of like, really?
Yeah, we absolutely did not need him to be Ralph Boner. At the end of the day, Monica could have just did exactly what she was going to do anyway, because when she subdued him, he still had the Quicksilver powers. So clearly she could have overpowered him at any time. Right. And I think that has more to do with her understanding her powers. And what I ascertained really quick from Monica's powers is she is able to, I don't think it's just energy fields anymore. She seemed like she was able to manipulate gravity at one point. She became, I wouldn't call it opaque, but similar to Vision, where, you could, she has no physical form, right?
Yeah, she can like phase through stuff.
Right, she can phase through things, but with the scene, and yes, again, we're skipping around. So with the scene where Hayward is shooting towards her and the children, and she steps in front, she phases out, but she's absorbing the bullets.
Yes, and they're slowing down.
Right. So I was very intrigued by that. It was almost
it might be that she can, it might be that she can make her body like a just energy, you know what I mean? Where it's like, it's just a energetic body instead of like a physical body. So like maybe perhaps the bullets pass through that energetic body and it slows it down or something like that.
Okay.
Where it wouldn't be exactly phasing, because if that was Vision, the bullets would just go straight through them and then hit the kids. Like, she has some sort of materiality to her body still, where it's like, maybe it's like this energy body that can absorb impact, kind of like Sebastian Shaw from X-Men, where he was able to absorb explosions. So maybe there's something about that, like, but I was I was kind of surprised that Monica didn't have she didn't have very much going on.
And that leads me, Monica didn't have much going on in the episode fully, right? Yeah. But she had the first Easter egg of the episode.
She did. Yeah, the first mid-credit scene.
Right. And my biggest question to that is, where the scroll?
I know. I am so
I get we're going into the multiverse. I get we're gonna have to jump into dimensions. I understand she has to have a way or a reason for her and Captain Marvel to be friends again and be on the same team, what yada yada, blase blase. I get it. My question is, why the scroll at the end of WandaVision?
I don't know. And I'm so, because you know what they're trying to do is they want to introduce Secret Wars into the MCU at some point. And so that's why
5 years, who's going to remember this scene in 5 years?
And honestly, the scroll stuff just doesn't interest me, because that means like they can go into the universe and be like, oh, you remember this Captain America? He was actually a scroll the whole time.
I got you. I'm way ahead of you. So they are already saying that the I want to say it's the Nick Fury, either in one of the Captain Americas. It might even be Winter Soldier, or it might be the Nick Fury in the Age of Ultron or something like that. But the theory is, after one particular event, Nick Fury is dead, and we're not looking at the actual Nick Fury. That's a scroll. That's Talos, the scroll.
Right. Yeah. And see, that's like, I just don't like that sort of retconning, because I think it's a little bit sloppy, and it's kind of like a magic wand where you can be like, oh, Tony Stark wasn't actually Tony Stark. He was a scroll. Right. Here's the real Tony Stark again. Right. Yeah. And it's like, I don't know. And that's kind of the way
Tony would never go near a scroll, for the record.
Right. That's true. But that's kind of the way I felt about this ending too. And especially honestly, I really had an issue with Wanda evaporating her family. I had an issue with Wanda and my wife said this perfectly, which made it even worse for me, because she's like, so if Wanda had brought the body into the hex, she could have just made a whole vision.
We alluded to, okay, no, we didn't talk about this on air. We talked about that off air.
Yeah.
We talked about that off air, because we were questioning once we discovered that wasn't the real vision. And the question was, so what are they doing with the real vision? And then lo and behold, next episode, he's fully put together. And it's like, hold on, wait. And at the same time, we had just gotten the story of how they had utilized dissecting the body to trigger Wanda.
Yeah, and then they merged her magic with his body, and now he's White Vision. So technically, if she had just taken Vision's body like it was supposed to happen, she could have brought Vision back completely.
But I think their fear was she would have brought Vision back completely, not the weapon.
Well, yes, Sword didn't want Vision back completely, right, but I mean, like Wanda, could have just taken the body, and then she would have had Vision, the complete Vision, which is just to me, that's like, okay, well then, I don't know why we did this. I did enjoy the White Vision and Vision scene where they finally stop fighting, where they stop fighting with each other and they start talking.
Right. I call that the Vision and WandaVision fight, and then it made sense. I was like, oh, that's why this is called WandaVision, because he is Wanda's vision.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it was
yeah. But when they stop fighting, they have that chat, and it's basically like where Wanda's Vision is like, I'm actually not the real Vision, and then White Vision's like, I need further elaboration. And then they go through this thought experiment called the Ship of Theseus, which actually I've done a podcast on Exofathom. So if you want to learn about this subject more, you can check that out. That's a shameless plug. But the Ship of Theseus is this concept that if you have it's in a museum, and over time you have to remove the planks to replace them because they rot. At some point, all of the planks of the ship will be replaced. Is that still the same ship? And so Wanda's Vision uses that sort of thought experiment to confuse White Vision and be like, well, yeah, actually, you're not really Vision. You're this new thing. Well,
I don't think it was as much of a confusion because of the back end. So it was if they remove the planks, is it still the Theseus? If they take those removed planks, build a new boat, is that the real vessel? And the answer being that neither of them are the true vessel. They're both the true vessel because they both contain true parts. I thought that was the most brilliant moment.
Yeah,
to show.
Sure.
If you ask me, that was the most Vision we got out of this entire series.
Yeah.
That was the most actual, the Vision that we know and are used to. Not Wanda's recollection of Vision.
The analytical Vision, the one that is trying to think about the mysteries of life. Yeah, I really enjoyed that scene. I thought that was really well done. What really bothered me though is when Wanda's Vision gave him the memories, and then he's like, I am the Vision, and then he just leaves.
And here's my question: and goes where?
So he's going to be so there is a White Vision in the comics, and he's part of the West Coast Avengers. He's a West Coast Avenger, and the difference between him and the regular Vision is that he has all of the regular Vision's memories, but no emotion. So he's
Wow.
just going to be white. He's just going to be the emotionless Vision that knows about Wanda but has no feelings towards her.
But that's not good.
I know.
That's
It's not
scary.
good at all. Yeah,
That's
because it's
Ultron.
yeah, pretty much. It's Ultron with Vision's memories. Yeah.
But wait, so here's I have to time out. Let's back up. Time out. When did they create Avengers West? Because that sounds like something they didn't do until the mid 90s during the East Coast West Coast battle. And I'm gonna stop covering anything Marvel.
Yeah. I don't know when the West Coast Avengers became a thing, but they are definitely a thing. And White Vision is a part of the West Coast Avengers.
That would make White Vision Eminem.
Yeah, totally.
I'm just
right.
Context clues here, man. I'm picking it up.
Right. Well, and so there's a couple other things that I'm a little bit nitpicky about, and like as I said, the biggest thing for me is just I didn't like the emptiness of Wanda having to kill her family again, and like killing her children like that, where it's like, all right, well, you go to bed now, and then you'll just cease to exist, and sleep tight.
A spoonful of poison instead of a spoonful of cough syrup.
Yeah, it's like sleep tight, children. I'll always remember you. And
I thought that was so disgusting. I couldn't mentally put it on paper because I was really processing. Like, wait, is that really how they're about to do this?
Yeah.
And then I had a little bit after the show ended, I reflected on it, and I was really sitting in here like, nah, that's not how that happened. And I went back. I didn't even go back to the big screen. I wanted to watch it on the small screen because I wanted to listen to it more than watch it.
Yeah.
And that entire dialogue sounded like, forgive me for the way I have to explain this. It sounded like someone who was trying to coach a child into not knowing that I'm about to murder you.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly how it sounded. And it was
now
really
I understand why I didn't want to say she killed her kids and I wanted to use the word absorb. I was in denial. I'm sorry, guys.
Yeah, like this was exactly like Cersei right before the siege of King's Landing, where she's about to poison Tommen.
Boom, exactly. Yes.
And I'm just like sitting here. I'm like, is Disney seriously going to kill these children off? Like, come on, man. That's the first time, by the way, that Disney killed the children off and not the parents. But
I'm not co-signing that. I'll do my research.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I really didn't like it. I didn't like it. And then like the goodbye that she had with Vision, I thought was really beautiful and touching. But again, it was like you're making her watch Vision die for a third time. And I really didn't appreciate that cheeky little thing they say to each other where it's like, well, until the next time we see each other. And I'm like,
no. It's cute, but it's trash.
It's trash because it's like, okay, so you guys are just going to bring Vision back whenever you want just for a cheap kick. Yep. And then it's like, okay, no, man, just let Vision exist. You guys don't even have to do anything with the two of them ever again. If you just let him live, and this was just, if this was just a closed circuit series where Vision finally lives at the end, but we never hear what happens to him after that, I'd be totally fine with that. Totally fine with that, because then at least I know that there's some catharsis to this whole story.
Well, I'm very curious as to if we are aware that Wanda is now aware and presumably has always been aware, but just not in control. That's a whole nother conversation, but we're going to cover some of that. Like fully aware, just not in control. But it leads me down the path of thinking, are they trying to get her to destroy stuff? Like, is she supposed to destroy Earth 313?
Yeah, honestly, I think they were referencing that way too much to not have that be a possibility. I think, and even Agatha says, like, you're destined to destroy the world. Like,
right. And we're moving into the multiverse, and we also know at some point the planets in the multiverse start to become destroyed. We don't know why.
Yeah.
Sometimes they blame Dormammu, but there's always some different entity coming along.
Yeah.
I want to say we're going to have to deal with Ego sometime soon, which is a planet that eats planets.
And Galactus.
Or Galactus, right? All these things that destroy things in the multiverse, and it starts to make the multiverse collapse. So when they kept alluding to that, I promise the first thing I thought was the next time we see Wanda, she's going to be the villain.
Yeah. And maybe she is. I honestly, I did think that it was interesting when Agnes kind of snaps everybody in the town out of it. and they start coming at her and like begging her to like stop this, and she's in denial about the whole thing. And like I thought that was really good because it does make sense. And it, like, I don't have any issue with Wanda becoming the villain. I as I said, I just have an issue with this like open door possibility. Like, we wanted the finality of dead characters, but then we open the door back up and it's like, oh, but they might not be dead. Go watch Doctor Strange and maybe they'll come back. It's like, that's not out for 2 years. So you're telling me I have to wait 2 years to see if Wanda finds her children in Vision again?
In a sense, and if I'm going to be honest, that will just irritate me because it will go to what I was saying last episode about the children in Vision, as far as their actual, how much they actually exist, right? Clearly, Wanda has the power of creation, not just chaos.
Yeah.
Right? So what if they were real? And this takes me to what you're saying about her having to kill them at the end. If she created real human life beings that can move along through life with or without her, because clearly, again, how far her power reaches, no matter what she's doing on the other side of the earth, she has enough faith in her powers that she can keep Agnes in dormant.
Yeah, that's true.
She wasn't even worried about where Agnes was after she said, it's like she hypnotized her. You live here and da. And there was no thought to, hey, we're going to make sure we keep her in tow. We're going to put her in this particular area. No.
Yeah. And so now Agnes is just the only one cursed in that whole town.
Right. But so what that takes,
which is shitty. Does everybody in the town like try to tell her like, hey, you're not, like,
because they hate Wanda. So they're not going to let somebody who they think can hurt Wanda or beat Wanda, they're not going to let her stay there. They're easily going to be like, hey, wake up. They're going to do that for the next 15 eons until she wakes up. And so that's what I'm thinking is, what is it that comes with all of that? Like, even with the moment where she kind of loses her control and she's choking all of them because she wants them to be quiet, right?
Yeah. At
what point is Wanda not the bad guy if she was never in control, but she was fully aware?
Yeah. No, I think she was the bad guy. Honestly, I really do. If for the town people, she was the bad guy. Certainly.
Okay. Like she's perspective of each character.
Yeah, for the audience, she's still a hero, but everybody in that town would see her as a monster that enslaved them. What she did. She enslaved them, and like I think, and they said like, we have to live through your nightmares,
right?
And so that's
scary to hear.
That is scary to hear, and that was an Easter egg, I think, to Nightmare, the character in the Marvel universe. But like, there's a character in the Marvel universe named Nightmare, and he's like a demon or something like that, and he has to do kind of with the multiverse as well. Wait, so
is it Nightmare and Mayor is with a Y?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. I've never seen the spelling out, so it's possible. Okay. Yeah,
it sounds familiar. I don't think I've ever seen it, but just that sounds a little familiar.
Yeah, so I think that was kind of like a little nod at like a possibility of like the realm of Nightmare or whatever. But yeah, I mean, like I understand Wanda could be the villain, and that doesn't even bother me all that much. But if that were the case, I would have rather have her expand the hex to consume the entire globe. I would have rather.
I thought we were headed there.
Yeah, like if she's going to be the villain, lean into it and expand the entire hex, make the worlds under your spell. Like, I want to see that. You know what I mean?
I think they only did that, being honest, in order to end the series. There was no reason for her to cave so hard. I mean, there was a reason for her to cave, but not as hard as she caved.
Yeah.
And once you know that there's an actual, and once she knew there was a physical version of Vision, why would she not be curious about that?
Yeah, why would she not try to integrate the two? You have his soul and his body in the same place for the first time. And it, it even makes me angrier because it's not necessarily on Wanda. It is on Vision too. And like, so Vision is like, okay with his soul just dying as long as his memories live on in some, robotic vessel that's not really him. Like, it kind of bothered me because like Vision is such a simple thing at this point. It's like, dude, can you just have some like self-preservation at least once? Can you just once say, hey, I don't want to die? You know what I mean? Like, he's always just like, kill me, Wanda. Kill me,
right.
Wanda. Like,
even in the movies. And that's what I was going to say is, no, he can't, because they never once in the movies allowed Vision to care about Vision.
Yeah, which I think is a kind of a missed opportunity, because there is an ability for Vision to expand into more than just a mindless robot, which they tried to do. And this series, I think, really tried to make him, more human, which they succeeded in. But now they just said, okay, well, human Vision's gone. Now he's back to a mindless robot. And it's like,
Right.
Okay, I guess. Like, I don't care about White Vision. I don't care. Like, don't put him in anything because I don't care. Like.
I heard. Never mind. That was a bad joke. I just realized that. But essentially, like you were saying, that the White Vision will be back, whether we like him or not.
Yeah.
And so I wanna dive in on the moment with the kids, where we pick up at the beginning. So I want to also say this was the very first episode where we literally picked up exactly where we left off. I feel like the entire series should have been like that. But
yeah, it was more episodic. Yeah,
right, for sure. This was like the continuation. It picked us right back into the energy. We picked right back up with the climax, so to speak.
Yeah.
And so what I didn't understand was, so initially you had the kids and they were like, "Mom, I can help. I have powers." Just like, "No, go to your rooms." Okay, they go to their rooms. But then the moment the son, I want to say it's Billy with the Scarlet Witch powers.
Yeah,
the moment
Wiccan.
Wiccan. I want to say the moment he sees in his head that mom's in trouble.
Yeah.
Now it's okay for you to disobey her.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that doesn't make any, because then it's like, okay, so are they not Vision? Like, so is this not Wanda's control? Like, are these kids like, because if your room, there should be no reason that they ever leave that room until she says it's okay for them to come out. Like, if they are just a construct of her power and her imagination, right, they shouldn't have free will.
Right. The same way that apparently the other children didn't have free will and were locked in their rooms.
Right. Exactly. So I don't really get this, where it's like, the kids are kind of real, but they're not real. And like now dead because they can't live outside the hex, even though Agatha has said that she can create things, just out of nowhere. Like, so she could just create those people and not have to deal with the hex at all.
I think the first thing Wanda is going to have to do is stop thinking that she is Wanda Maximoff. I think that, again, alluding back to, and I know this is not what we want it to be, but alluding back to the Phoenix Force. Jean Grey could not be the Phoenix. The Phoenix had to be the Phoenix. Jean Grey had to give up her vessel. She had to give up her life. Right. Yeah. And she didn't even realize she had to die until she fought until the bitter end, utilizing all of her immense power, because she was freaking powerful as hell.
Yeah.
And then after she dies and everybody's like, "Oh, it's over. The entire cosmos is going to collapse." And, oh my God, what's that?
Phoenix Force comes back.
Captain America, more like.
Yeah. I lived.
Oh, sorry. Captain Planet, more like. Sorry. Captain Planet, more like.
Yeah. I lived, bitch.
Right. And it's just, I don't know. I feel like if you're going to try to normalize and make families and human out of these characters that have these super abilities, don't give them this godlike moment every single time. It's fine to have it maybe once every 2-3 seasons, but it's like every single season. And I don't care if it's WandaVision or shoot, we could just talk about the cartoons alone. It's somebody always has to become OP in order to beat somebody, and then the next thing you know, they're the bottom of the barrel again, i.e. her at the cabin sipping coffee, sitting on the stoop while the Scarlet Witch, or believed to be the Scarlet Witch, is ritualistically trapped. I'll say it that way. Ritualistically trapped in the mirror.
Yeah, she's like in the dark. She's reading the Darkhold.
Right. And I mean, and I was aware of that. But then again, with Wanda being outside and the Scarlet Witch being in there, how do we know Wanda was even aware of what was really going on?
Yeah. I have no idea. And and furthermore, why didn't she just create the hex over the house, the plot of land?
That's what I thought was going to happen. In fact,
right. That's actually so she could actually have a family that she can go back to and she could visit. Like, if the hex is just over the house, then Vision and her children can still be alive. And I don't know. I mean, like, I guess it's like I want to have the happy ending, and I understand that, but it's like, for me, it's like, you didn't set this up to have like this sort of empty ending Like you put in all this heart and sort of like hero journey archetypes where the hero journey always, the hero always has to go into the underworld but eventually he's always successful and he brings back the treasures from the underworld. Like
Right.
Wanda didn't get to do that. She didn't get to bring back her treasures. She just has to like evaporate them. And for what? So now that she can be the Scarlet Witch, what does she have to do now? Like
Right.
she
Well,
doesn't have
okay.
a call to do anything.
Well, here's something else I thought was interesting. So, you're a witch, you know how to utilize your powers. Um, yes, a spell cast cannot be uncast, but couldn't you have cast another spell to relieve the effects of what you've done to these people?
Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. I mean, who knows how this all
I
works?
mean, she doesn't need a spell. She just needs to think it, like make them feel better. They feel better. The same way she
Yeah,
thought, shut up, and they started choking.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Who
it's
knows if
those
that's like,
kind of things.
that's yeah. Who knows if that's not a prison of itself, where it's like if she tries to make them feel better, then they're trapped
You
inside
might
their
get more.
heads again or whatever. Who knows, like
Yeah,
who knows
right.
how the chaos magic works.
No, you're right,
But
because actually that just made me realize that's actually what she was trying to do, is give them pleasant emotions, and that's
yeah,
not
she
what
was
was
trying to
happening.
give them a good life, and then they ended up in her nightmares. So, like, yeah, maybe
Wow.
it's good that she doesn't mess with those people. But like, she gave them all the opportunity to evacuate. I would have just thought, like, okay, close the hex now. It's just you guys live in your little bubble. What's wrong? Like, nobody can mess with you.
I don't I
Like,
don't think they had a chance to get out when she was trying to let them out.
yeah,
However, I don't think she planned that properly. Like, you're in the heart of the
no,
town and you expanded this thing an extra 4 miles out from where it already was. You think they're gonna run that far?
yeah, yeah,
In the
exactly.
10 seconds you have this door, like, come on. The only thing
Yeah.
she did was let the military in.
Yeah. Well, we definitely know that Agatha's coming back because they
For sure.
left that door wide open. Although I think it's cold-blooded what she did to Agatha. Like for all intents and purposes, Agatha was the main villain of this whole thing, but really all she wanted to do was take, her powers. And she even said like, "Hey, I'll let you live in this world and I'll build you this world like without any problems. And,
And I
if
don't
you
think
give
she
me."
would have though.
It was a lie, but like, yeah. But the way she left Agatha, where she just like put her under the spell again, and like Agatha's sitting there like pretending like, oh, peachy keen jelly bean, and I'm like, oh,
Right.
dude, that is so
That's messed
messed
up.
up.
But that was
Like,
Agatha's point when she told her she was cruel. She's like, no, I'm gonna give you
yeah,
the
that
rose
is
you chose.
cruel.
She's like, you're cruel. Like,
Yeah,
and, and that's the whole, I think so. That's the thing with Agatha, is she's she is inherently an anti-hero,
hmm,
right? Because her ability is just like anyone whose ability is to take something from someone else. It's no way you can really be a good guy. But then if you have a moral consciousness of some sort, like even when we go back to her being attempting to be crucified on the stake,
hmm,
or burned at the stake, whatever we want to call that, she never really showed any will to be nasty or foul towards her own coven. It was just the reality and the nature of what her power is. It's like, no, I absorb power. So if you're going to keep hitting me with your power, I will be able to take all of your power. And
yeah,
it didn't seem like in that notion at that time, it didn't seem like she was aware that that's what was happening.
yeah.
I think what we saw with Agatha back when she was back in what was that, 1936, 1963, or excuse me, 1663, was it?
1693.
1693, right? Salem.
Hmm.
So I think what was happening, what we saw happening with her back then, is what was happening with, I want to call her Monica. Her name is not Monica. Wanda right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the way she was kind of treating Wanda is the same way that she was treated by her mother. Where it's like you're too powerful, you're dangerous, we need to take these powers away from you. And so she
Right.
kind of had the same sort of mentality with Wanda. But like I figured it as soon as like she started taking, draining the powers from Wanda, I'm like, she's not going to be able to hold this. Like if this
That's
if
what I
this
thought.
if the Phoenix Force things follows, then like nobody can contain the Phoenix Force except for Jean
Except,
Grey,
yep.
basically. Like so it stands the reason that the Scarlet Witch can be nobody but Wanda Maximoff. So
Well,
like
I
hmm?
don't think she would have been able to become the Scarlet Witch if she had absorbed as much of the power as Wanda was giving her. She wouldn't have become the Scarlet Witch. She just would have had an immense amount of chaos magic that she could utilize. That's
Yeah,
what I
but
think.
but that's what I'm saying too, is like it wouldn't even make sense that the Scarlet Witch could be drained of any power. Like it doesn't seem like Scarlet
I
Witch could
get you.
ever have, because she's just an
Oh, she can never be depleted.
yeah, she can't be
Yeah,
depleted. Like
yeah.
she's just everlasting energy, like always, So like it wouldn't even make sense that she, like, I guess she could, Agatha could absorb a portion of power and then be more powerful for sure, but
Right.
Wanda will never be able, like, you can't strip the Scarlet Witch from Wanda. Like it's just not going to happen.
I believe that as well. And that's what I was thinking. So what I thought was going to happen in that scene, and guys, for those who haven't seen but chose to still stick around, and those who maybe just don't remember where we're at in the show, this is the major fight scene between Agatha and Wanda. And near the end of it is when Wanda's just kind of tired of it. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to give you what you want. But at that point, I already figured, I was like, okay, Wanda has a plan. I was just, what is Wanda's plan? And I thought Wanda's plan was very similar to what happens a lot of times. You have people who want to take the power, I want all the power. And what happens in most shows? They overload them until they can't handle it, and either cripples them or it destroys them.
Yeah.
And in this, and the way they spun this with Wanda was a little different, and I liked it because it showed Wanda learns fast on the job. The entire time, from the moment she got trapped under those rooms, she was learning. She started learning immediately. It was like, okay, rooms, boom, 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 boom. How do I do that?
Yeah.
All right. Got to tap in somewhere in here. I know it's in there. I just got to figure out how do I do it. And then she takes her Agnes into Agnes's memories. That I thought was going to go way crazier for Agatha than it did. However, we keep bouncing back and forth between Agatha and Agnes.
Yeah. Well, yeah. She finessed her way out of that one, though.
Oh,
she basically sidestepped that stick and then put Wanda on it. I was like, wow.
Right. And so what I thought was craziest about that was, I think Wanda is not aware, and this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking Agnes is a lot stronger than she gave Wanda the impression of.
I think so too. Well, she has a lot more experience.
And so that's why I think she's a lot stronger. Yeah.
And you saw that, and that was the representation when Wanda takes Agatha into her memories back on the stake. Like the way she was able to finesse her way out of, of that situation. And she was like, haha, I told you so, like that is like, she's much more experienced. So,
right.
And that's why, no, go ahead.
No, I was thinking, and whether that was a power thing or not, it was a knowledge thing. I
think it's a knowledge thing.
Right. Yeah. She simply knew, like, even in my memories, they have more hate for the Scarlet Witch than they have for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it's definitely her experience. And I think that's why we're definitely going to see Agatha again, because Wanda's going to need Agatha. Wanda's going to need Agatha for something. And it's, like that's when she'll come back and pick her up. But until then, she's damned to a terrible fate of being trapped inside her own mind.
What is that gonna do you think that's going to make her more angry?
I mean, yeah, like you can imagine maybe she becomes like really fully evil after that, like being enslaved for who knows how long, because she was never actually enslaved in the first place. She was pretending to be. So it's like, yeah, who knows?
And so the Agatha story that I know of, though, she's been enslaved before and multiple times in the past, even by a coven that she created of her own. Not just the one with her mother, but a different coven that was worshiping her, and they tried to kill her, and she overcame even that. So the theory is that Agatha has actually been through so much different levels of trauma that even Wanda's trauma isn't really too much for someone of her past.
Yeah, I would think that perhaps she also can't die. Because like at the end of their battle, did she take away Agatha's powers completely? I don't know. I mean, like,
no. So what happens, and this is, again, I don't understand how this stays in place. So the reason Agatha loses her powers is, again, Wanda learns fast on the job, right? So she's blasting Agnes. Oh, I missed. I missed. Oh, that's a superpower one. I missed. Oh, superpower one over here. I missed. And it's like, what are you doing? Because I could tell immediately, like, okay, she's not missing on accident. What is she doing?
Yeah.
But I didn't see rooms coming.
No, neither did I. I just thought maybe like it was going to help explode the hex.
That's what I thought.
She kept hitting it, hitting the boundary or whatever. But yeah, like the rune thing does make sense. So I guess now that but then like
But
you
once you
said,
struck the hex, you shrunk the hex. Where are the rooms over? And wait, when she shrunk the hex, did it drag Agnes with her? And then the hex is like this little box, and Agnes is in there. Like,
or perhaps Agatha's just under the spell and she still has her powers, which would be
that's what I
interesting
think.
because then you would see like this whole spin-off of Agnes who's like pretending to be Leave It to Beaver and then all of a sudden discovering that she has powers. You know what I mean? That would be kind of cool.
I would actually watch that.
Yeah,
I
I
would
would too.
definitely watch that.
Yeah, I would too. Because then it's like even if you do take Agnes, you could leave the memory wipe on her and just utilize her as a power, as a weapon, and a new person. Yeah.
Oh my God, use her as Vision. No, use her as what the government wanted to use Wanda as when she was a teen.
Yes. Yeah. Sword might be scooping her up soon. Yeah.
Hydra might be scooping her
Hydra.
up.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely.
Sword, see, and the reason I say Hydra is Sword nor any of the entities that work with heroes will experiment on somebody so much so that they can harness and gain control of their powers. Hydra, on the other hand, will fucking kill you.
Yeah, that's fair. Just to
make sure that you can control what you have.
Oh, could you imagine? And like that's where Agnes or Agatha ends up being, is in like a Hydra facility, and Wanda has to break her out of it.
And I might say because Wanda's been through that already.
Yeah.
And then Wanda realizes like, oh, maybe Agnes was trying to help me not go through what she went through the way
maybe Agnes is right, and I am going to destroy everything, and maybe she knows how I cannot destroy everything.
Yeah. And then even with that, the book when to get to that last scene again with the Scarlet Witch going through, I can't remember the name of that book.
It's called The Darkhold.
Darkhold. I'll be going to call it the Grimoire, and I know it's not the Grimoire.
Yeah, it is a Grimoire. So
because there are multiple types of Grimoire, right? Or multiple levels.
Yeah, Grimoire is just a book of spells.
Okay, so that particular Grimoire, pat me on the back for knowing.
There you
go. How did she attain that? So it was already in Agatha's possession.
Mm-hmm.
She brung it up with her magic. It was never tangibly in front of anyone. How did she get it? Did you go into her memories and snatch it from there?
It's possible that she's so powerful now she can manifest it, because I think that it's one of those things that you could probably pull out of. Yeah, you can summon it. So maybe that's what happened, is that she summoned it, because when you see it in Agatha's thing in the basement, it looks like it's bound by energy, and it's like sitting on that little pedestal thing, and like looks like it's like being contained. Maybe that's because, she has it under spell that nobody else can summon it.
Wow.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, that's just speculation. I have no idea. But
I'm going to ask you some questions off air, man. I think you're telling me. No. But no, so yeah, I get that. That actually makes a lot more sense. And to get back to the battle really fast for me, I thought it was I love the way Agnes was so confident.
Mm-hmm.
She really thought she had won. And it showed me, no matter how much knowledge and time you've had with this, you're still not humble enough to know the difference between a loss and a moment.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and that's kind of like the big bad cliche where it's like, the villain takes a minute to gloat only to realize that they had lost. You know what I mean? Or it's like they take their victory lap and then they realize, oh no, I lost the whole time.
Right. And it happens in real life, so I'm not gonna crucify her for that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so once that happened, and then the runes, and again, with the runes, what I thought was interesting, and this is when I realized something was off, and then the runes made more sense. James Wu and the entire FBI watching from the outside of the hex, trying to figure out why is their energy hitting the force field from the inside. It didn't make sense. Yeah, it didn't make sense. I thought that was a poor context or a poor clue as to what she was doing, but
yeah, I don't think it even was a clue. It was just them noticing it. You know what I mean?
Okay, noticing to fight it. So So when we get back to the rooms themselves, though, how does she know those were the right rooms to use?
I have no idea, man. Honestly, like this is another thing where it's like, and so like I really don't kind of appreciate how far out this is for a follow-up. it would be one thing if we were going to get a season 2 and it might take 2 years to make, then maybe, okay, fine, I'd be all right with that. But you're telling me that we're going to get this sort of like resolution within a Doctor Strange movie? Like, is
Yes,
Doctor
because the
Strange
Doctor
going to
Strange
be the...
movie is going to be about 2.5 hours.
Yeah, but it's mostly going to be focused on Doctor Strange, I would assume,
It's going to be
so
focused on the multiverse.
yeah,
I'm calling it. I'm calling
I
it now.
guess. Yeah.
I'm calling it now. We'll
Like,
see.
so
We'll see much more of different characters than we'll see of solo Doctor Strange in that movie, I promise.
and then that's just strange, because it's like, okay, well then is it Doctor Strange 2, or is it just like the multiverse with Doctor Strange?
Well, consider at one point of the original Doctor Strange movie, you had to question how much of this was about Doctor Strange versus learning about the sorcerers or the just the powers of the Sorcerer Supreme in itself, not the person who becomes the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah. Well, I think that they have an opportunity to do interesting things. As I said, I just, for me, it's like now I don't really even care as much, because like the kids are gone, Vision's gone, Wanda had to kill them all over again, and okay, so basically we're back at square one, except now Wanda is more powerful.
Yes,
that's it. Like, if nothing was accomplished, Wanda's back where she started. It's just that she's more powerful.
She's more powerful. She now has more enemies, because I'm not gonna let anybody tell me that town isn't now her enemy.
Oh yeah, they hate her.
And she is aware that she is not alone as far as being a magical being. But before all of this, she didn't think she was magical. She thought she was like all the other superheroes and just got lucky with powers.
Yeah.
And it still doesn't explain Pietro.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't explain that. And you know what the problem is that there was no explanation. They just thought it would be cute to put Evan Peters in there just to make us go like, oh, what's happening? And they were like,
how much money he still owes him.
That was a red herring for sure. Like, honestly, like the fact that they didn't even make him a speedster. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't have to be Pietro Maximoff. He could have been a different speedster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's plenty in the universe.
Yeah. Because even in the X-Men universe, his name is Peter. It's not Pietro. And really? Pietro, anyways. Yeah, they know. I don't even think they actually say his name in the X-Men movies.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I got to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure like you only see like the Maximoff on the mailbox, and then they never actually his first name.
His name.
So, yeah, so it's like he's just Quicksilver. But yeah, I mean, like I as I said, I don't know what they're gonna do with this, and I'm not really sure. Like, now they're talking about possibly having a season 2, because I think they realized
they tired of hearing complaint already.
Yeah, I mean, like as I said, my complaints aren't because I didn't see things happen. Like, Mephisto never showed up. There was no.
I thought that's who Pietro was going to be. The Pietro character, when it was like, "Oh, you live here," I was like, "Okay, here we go." Oh.
Well, and then they did another thing with the mailman. Remember, the mailman drives by Wanda and is like, "Don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger," and that was really weird. And his van has a rabbit on it, which is a hint towards Agatha's rabbit. Like, so what was going on with that?
Well, and not just that, something else I noticed about the mailman. So is it me, or has he been changing companies?
Yeah. He definitely.
I know the color scheme was changing, but I was like, is that a different company each time? Because I think at first it seemed normal, like USPS, UPS,
it did.
DHL, and now it's. I think the last 2 times it's been like
it's kind of like Amazon. It was, they were trying to make it look like Amazon, I think.
Okay, so somebody didn't get that sign off. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, but yeah, so like they did another weird thing with the mailman, where he's like there and he says like, "Don't shoot me, I'm just the messenger," and I'm like, what is that about? That's weird. But they never really followed up on that one. So I mean, I don't know.
And I don't even remember. Okay, no, I do. I remember only seeing the driver or the delivery man in the background when the rest of the town was coming up to her. He never really said much.
No,
he just walking up.
Yeah.
So maybe he is. Maybe it's him.
Maybe it is. Maybe we'll find out in some other thing. Yeah. As I said, like they could have had the opportunity to make this a closed unit like series if they had done something that allowed Wanda to be with her family.
Right.
Now done that, it's leaving it open ended and like that. But it does kind of take away from the totality of the series because now I know, well, if you watch episode one is actually a lot better than episode 9 because at least in episode 1 everything's kind of going well, you know. And then the episode 9, it's like, oh, she's, you know, she killed her family again. Now she's depressed. She's living in Sokovia. She had like a Dexter ending. You know, like the ending of Dexter where he goes to the Pacific Northwest to be a lumberjack and sit by himself. Like that's kind of the ending that she had. Like
and just sidebar, what made that even crazier, it's like, wait. So you think nobody's gonna come looking for you?
Yeah, of course.
you do. Got you. No worries. I just don't understand. Again, I guess the cabin scene, I guess, it hit us both the same way. And I think that's why it's taking over this episode.
Yeah, pretty much.
Because, again, that just made me think of a different thought I had, right? And even back to the Quicksilver moment and all of that. You didn't even have to bring in Quicksilver. You could have brought in any X-Men.
Any of them.
And then you bring in any other X-Man. Or even a Brotherhood member or a House of M member, which I guess you can kind of say Agatha will fall in there, but not really.
Yeah.
You bring in any of them, and then you get all the way to that cabin scene, and guess what? You can throw any of that in there.
Yeah.
Any of it. Shoot, how about this? You throw in Iceman. You can rotate between the character-wise. The real Iceman was named Shawn Ashmore. That was the name, Shawn Ashmore. You can then create new characters using him and his brother who almost look like twins. If you're going to try to do this creepy stuff you just did with Pietro in this particular series, use a different X-Men. Yeah. If you want to do all this folklore, we're going to move on to this universe and this person, and they're similar in these ways. Why am I doing their job for them right now? I don't know. But
yeah, I mean, I do think that I do. And this is where I have because I do think all of these things are going to come to fruition. It's just that now we are going to have to wait years to figure out whether this resolves itself in any kind of way, because I really do they'll bring Evan Peters back in some capacity and then really firm up his identity as Quicksilver. I mean, maybe they won't, maybe they're not interested in that, but like it would seem to me like you have to bring in the X-Men franchise somehow. And, you know, like you would want to keep the younger cast that was already established, unless you want to recast everything, which I guess they could.
It's cheaper.
Yeah, I guess it's cheaper. I just don't know. I mean, like I really enjoyed this series. I thought it was really, really good. It's just to me the ending that kind of spoiled it. And
the ending drops it from a 10 to about a 9.5.
I was the same thing. I'd say it drops it to an 8.5 for me.
Ooh.
Like which is really rough. It's really rough, and I don't know if it deserves that, because as I said, it was almost a perfect 10 series for me anyways. Like I really appreciate the detail they did with everything. I really appreciate all aspects of this show, and even the story of grief and loss. Like I understood I understood why Wanda had to kill off her family again for the final time, hopefully. But like to me, it just felt like cheap. We already went through that with Wanda. You spent the last 8 episodes telling us how painful it was for her to do all of this stuff, and then you just do it again for the emotional impact. And I'm like, I don't really feel that as much anymore, because that none of this is permanent ever, because you know, now you're just using it for an emotional impact. Like just the way Vision just keeps getting killed and reborn. I'm like, well, now I don't really care about Vision. If Vision comes back, that's not the Vision from the Hex. That's not the, you know, like, so, you know, like there is no WandaVision. They're not going to be together ever again.
Right. And that was the part of even what they were saying to one another, even though I'm wondering if some part of that vision was put into the White Vision, but there's nothing to go on with that. That's just a thought I have.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering. Oh, wait, I just lost that thought. Yeah, I lost that thought. But it was in regards to Wanda and Vision and the moving forward of it all.
Yeah.
What do we have to look forward to at this point?
Honestly, nothing. You know, like this, and that's where I am having an issue because, like, I don't really look forward to Wanda having to re-find her children in the multiverse. Like, you should have just allowed her the ability to create them then. Like, why do we have to go into a multiverse story arc in order for her to find children? So she's going to pluck children from a different multiverse. Who's their parents? Who's those kids' parents?
Man.
I mean, like, is that going to, you know, are you robbing somebody of their children now?
Look, hopefully it's not Kryptonian Scarlet Witch. Right. I know that's not the same universe, but, you know, just putting that out there.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, like, that's kind of where my dilemma is. It's like, okay, so now you're going to go search the multiverse. Are you going to look for Vision too? Does Vision matter to you? You know, like, are you going to look for him as well? Like, you know, and if that was the case, if she is going to spend the Doctor Strange movie looking for Vision and her children, then why didn't she just take Vision's body and make a real Vision? Why didn't she, like, yeah, she's not a criminal, I guess, but she just enslaved a whole town of people. Yeah, she did enslaved a whole town of people, but maybe she won't steal them from Sword. Like, okay, you know, like, yeah, the dude from Sword's like, that's $3 billion of vibranium. She's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I'll just leave it. I'll leave it here then, you know.
Well,
like,
so something about the whole show, and even there were moments like that moment where I started feeling like there was going to be some this is the thought I thought I lost. I thought there was going to be some healing. Some like real healing for Wanda, and there was not only no healing, every opportunity for healing, there was more trauma, more pain added.
Yeah,
every single time.
That's what I mean by catharsis. That's what catharsis is. It's that resolution that makes you feel like everything is wrapped up and resolved, and it feels good. You know what I mean? Like, that's what when our movies, like, we watch a movie so that the hero gets something in the end. Now he may not get everything she wants, but it's still a good ending, and it still feels like it was worth something. Like, this doesn't necessarily feel like it's worth something. So you're telling me Wanda Maximoff created this incredible story arc where she created her own reality, and all she got out of it was a crown?
No. She also got a little education. It's like high school.
Very little education.
Right? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's like high school. Then I'm like, no, it's not like high school. It's like community college where you get
it's like a semester of an elective of community college. Like, she didn't necessarily learn anything outside of the runes that we know of.
Computer science with no lab.
Yeah, so that's my whole biggest thing. It's like, okay, so Wanda's power was with her before this whole ordeal, right, and she just had to do all of this stuff to find it within her. Right. But then it's like, so what? Was that worth creating a Vision and children to love and then destroy just so you can get your red little crown? Like, I don't know. Why weren't you just okay with being the Wanda Maximoff before you were the Scarlet Witch? Like, you would have been the Scarlet Witch eventually anyways. Why did you have to create, you know, this whole, like, I don't know, this whole traumatic life?
Right. I think that lends to the point of, like I was saying, like, her being fully aware but not in control. So yeah, it's like,
I understand. It's like her subconscious
depression. Yeah, just going through a severe depression or hurt, and I think about it like she blacked out.
Yeah,
she was drunk with emotion, drunk with rage. Some people get drunk with lust and those type, but she was drunk with rage, and her rage was probably towards herself because she felt like she couldn't do anything.
Well, look, this this series made me give a crap about Wanda. I didn't care about her.
I care a lot about her emotions now.
I care a lot about her. I want to see more of what she does. Like, I am very interested in what she's going to do next for sure. Because, as I said before, and we talked about this before, had they had done this before, like the Avengers Infinity War, this would have been a way different a situation. Like, the emotions I felt for Wanda in WandaVision are so much stronger than watching her kill Vision. Like,
right,
you know, like, what in Infinity War, I didn't really feel anything about that because we barely were told their relationship. They walked a couple times with each other and, like, you know, like, and held each other close a couple times, and we're supposed, but then they fought in Civil War, and then we're like, you know, like, then we're supposed to think that this is a big tragedy. Like, we didn't get that buildup, you know.
I have to share this with the group, with the listeners and the viewers.
Yeah.
So, guys, we usually go see all of the Avenger movies as a huge group together. This
Mhm.
is the first time I have heard Nick say this, and I totally agree, and I have thought it the entire time, but I just didn't think anybody agreed. So even in our group, I never brought that up, but I totally agree. When she killed him, I was just like, okay, you have to save the world. Why are you crying?
Yeah. Yeah. What's the big deal?
I was just like, weren't you guys just a booty call? Like, what's the
Yeah. You guys just seemed like you were having weird, I don't know, magic sex with each other. I don't even know how they
Well,
would
see,
have
that's the thing.
sex.
I don't even think right. I think it was just
I don't think they do. It's
I
just
feel
an
like he was
emotional
her
thing.
therapist.
Yeah. It was just an
Like best
emotional
friend type
connection.
stuff. And that's why I
Mhm.
never and don't get me wrong, I understood it was always like oh, they're in love and there's this platform for love. But if that's the case, then what about Black Widow and
Hulk
Hawkeye?
or Hawkeye. Hawkeye. Well, yeah, they're just like friends. Yeah.
Yeah, but they seem closer than Wanda and Vision did in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, what
Yeah.
about
Yeah. Yeah.
Black Widow and the Hulk?
Yeah.
They seem, and that's what I'm saying. Like, so I'm with you. In the movies, I knew they were in a relationship, quote unquote, but for it to get this far, no, that did throw me for a loop. So
Yeah.
had this come first, yes, that would have changed it. Because when she killed him in the movies, it was like, okay.
Yeah. And yeah.
And then when he comes back and he died, she died, he goes again, he's not there. I didn't see this like, oh, I'm gonna lose my entire livelihood and my entire mental state is coming from Wanda. I saw the
Yeah.
sadness. I
Yeah.
1000% saw the sadness, but I didn't think this to come of it. I'm glad it
Yeah.
did because I liked this series. It was really good. But I'm with you. It was like, nah, that didn't make as much sense then as it does now.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's, it's fine to do that retroactively, but like now that you've made us care about these characters, like, and the same thing for Vision. I didn't care about Vision before.
I cared about Vision, but because I always thought he was going to turn into another Ultron.
Well, you care about Vision because he's like a cool character and a good concept for a character, but like in his role in most of the movies is very minimal because he's just so powerful. Like you can't have him running around and doing stuff because I mean, like aside from Wanda, maybe there are a few that can stop him.
Right, I was going to say on the team, they're the two most powerful.
Definitely. But like that's my whole thing. When Vision dies, I don't really care either in Infinity War. It's like he's saying, kill me. It's like, okay. But now that I know Vision and I like know like his personality, like I don't want to see him gone now. Right. Like you guys should have given us some more and then killed him off because like now it just feels like a weird reversal of like now I care about him, but he's dead.
Right. Well, now you're thinking to yourself, now we're not just thinking of Wanda losing a really close friend or whatever anyone else wanted to see her and Vision. And I understand everybody always viewed them as lovers, but he is a sentient being, not a flesh being, which would make him anatomic, like a Ken doll.
Yeah, and it's proven that he has a soul because that's what we see in the Hex. So he has a soul, he has an essence, and so it's like, okay, well now we don't get the soul of Vision, we just get white Vision flying around with all of his memories. I
just wish they would call him something else.
I know it does.
and just being honest, the whole concept of calling him White Vision makes me think back to the Red Skull. And I used to be like, why do they call him that? Never mind.
Yeah.
It's like, can we just be more creative? We don't have to go with the obvious part.
Yes, the color of them and their name.
That's what it is that bothers me. Not that, he's white. No, it's White Vision. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Can't we just call him Physical Vision? Real Vision?
Yes.
Vision?
Yeah, right. Vision's Vision.
Because the other Vision is Wanda's Vision.
Yes.
He ain't real.
Yes.
Can he just be Vision?
Well, now he is just Vision. He said it. He said, I am Vision. And then he left. He
just torpedoed through the roof.
He just yeeted out of where did he go? Where did he go? And why didn't he stick around?
He destroyed a wonderful dome glass ceiling to that library.
Yeah, seriously. And he could have phased through that ceiling, by the way. He decided to destroy it.
Dang, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
He definitely could have phased. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah,
but they don't. There was a lot that was left open, but not enough to say I hate or dislike or even wouldn't rewatch this series because I plan on watching all 9 episodes.
Me too. Yeah.
However, I could have got so much more fulfillment.
Yeah.
So
I
much more
think
fulfillment out of a series, not a season finale. If it was a season finale, all right, fine. I just got to wait for season 2 and we can wrap some of more of this up. But to
right.
say that, oh, we're not giving you any more, just gonna go straight into the movie, and okay, well, here's my shoes. Just spit on them now.
Yeah. Right.
And tell me how you feel
Exactly.
about
Yeah, yeah.
me. You know?
No, it is true, and yeah, I think that's my biggest takeaway is like that ending, the way they wrapped that up, the way they wanted to have the emotional hit of Wanda killing her family, but then leave the door open for her finding her children and in something else, like that. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You got to choose one or the other. Either she is going to have to let go of her family completely, or you shouldn't have let her kill her family in the first place. Like, I don't know. It just seems like it was an unnecessary sort of like emotional exploitation, just to make people cry and feel something. You know what I mean? And then they'll be like, "Oh, we were just kidding." Like,
If anybody cried, you know what? Never mind. Never mind.
well, and just make people feel something. I guess it's like
that's
that.
why I say I'm not the most emotional person, but I did feel something. So someone who's more
Yeah,
emotional plausibly could have cried. So I'm not gonna do
yeah,
that.
for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. And like, yeah. So I guess we can wrap it up here.
I
I
have
would
two more
say,
things I want to add before we wrap it
oh,
up.
please do, please do.
One, I would have liked more Dr. Lewis. You don't give us a character that's that great. The physicist. You don't give us a
Oh,
character
Darcy.
like her, and you really only gave her 2 episodes, like 2 real episodes. That sucked.
Yeah,
I expected
yeah,
Darcy to come in on this one, and I was like, ooh, all of her knowledge is going to be the juice. And then even more so, I did like how she, true to classic form, like, I don't do debriefings. I'm out.
yeah. Well, I guarantee you she'll be in the Loki series,
She will
which
definitely be
is
in the Loki movie. Oh,
yeah,
wait, is
yeah.
that a series or a movie?
It's a
That is,
TV. It's a series. Yeah. So they're going to be doing a Loki series soon. I think in the summer it's coming out.
that might do
And
better as a series than a movie, actually. Yeah.
yeah, and so I'm pretty sure we'll see Darcy again because she does have ties to the Thor universe. So
Correct.
it would make sense for her to come back.
Well, at a certain point, she's the only living physicist that can help them.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, again,
and Natalie Portman's coming back to a lab near you.
Yeah. Well, and give like hello, call Wakanda for F sakes and just get Shuri
They
out
won't.
of there. Like
They won't. It won't. Listen, I'm gonna
like,
be honest about that too. What I feel like is the reason we won't get any Shuri or anything related to a Black Panther side for a minute is they're trying to really figure out how to revamp that with the loss of Chadwick. I really feel like that's what's going on.
Well, that's why I think that's why I think at least bringing Shuri into something like WandaVision for an episode is at least getting that ball rolling and at least having some of the satellite characters that were around Black Panther to come back.
I get you. I get you.
Without having to like recast Black Panther, like you could have the people that are around him start to come back into stuff.
Right. And I do have a speculative spoiler. My speculative spoiler for the Black Panther is they are going to bring back Killmonger. And if you know anything about the comic books, Killmonger does return and he does rule Wakanda, and not in the way he was trying to rule Wakanda the first time. But that's where I'm
on a redemption arc sort of thing.
Correct.
Oh, that is going to be a big year for Michael B. Jordan because they're talking about him for Superman too.
I might say he also has like 2 other movies. He has like 2 or 3 movies this year. It's that dude's doing big, and
he's doing a lot of stuff.
When I found out I don't think he's from LA, but I'm just gonna say for him to be where he is, especially in the Marvel and all of that, and to remember Friday Night Lights, I'm just gonna leave it at that and say like, good job, man. I'm really happy for that guy.
From humble beginnings to being in a Marvel franchise. I mean,
wait, I have to just think, was it Friday Night Lights or Blue Mountain State? Friday Night Lights, right?
I think that's what he was in. Yeah.
One of the football shows from back then.
Yeah.
But it was really small role in any. So I look back at that and I'm like, wait, that's the. Right. And here we are now at the end of a WandaVision episode talking about the next few movies he may be in for Marvel. I think that's cool.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, but the way they're going with all of that, and the second thing for me after Dr. Lewis was after Dr. Lewis trapped Hayward, and then it's just, oh, Hayward's just going to get locked up, and what's going to happen with Agent Wu? He better not just disappear. He's a really cool character.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need him to either be involved in Wanda or to be involved with something with Captain Rambo headed to space and going to hang out with the Skrull. Which, how that has to do anything with her mother, I'm waiting to find out.
Yeah, and to me it sounded too like is she a part of like is she an alien? Because like it sounded like they were
like she's a Skrull. Like she's
that's what I thought. Yeah, because they were like, oh, I heard that you were grounded, and they want to, you know, and then she wants to talk to you, and it's like, okay, wait, so is she like a Skrull? And then we're getting into the Secret Wars. Yeah.
From okay, I'm gonna say this, and then I'm done talking about it. I think she's a Skrull from the event that happened when Captain Marvel becomes Captain Marvel, and she's kind of left behind with the fighter jet and stuff. Remember? And I think, and remember, the Skrull is who we're coming.
Yes.
After the Tesseract at that point.
Yes.
And I think that's how she came into contact with the Skrull, the same time Fury did, the same time her mother did. And she just so happened to still be in the Air Force and not a part of SWORD at the time. Right. And that's probably how she became a part of SWORD. And if I am right, somebody let us know in the comments. I appreciate you.
Yeah. Which would make sense if the Skrull's trying to infiltrate stuff, you know. So
aren't they always? And and that's the other part with them. That was, I'm sorry. So I had three things. Because I forgot to mention this. The other reason I'm confused at them bringing up the Skrull is a lot of people have yet to understand that the Skrull are good and bad. Like there's multiple sides to the Skrull. Skrull can basically have, actually not basically, they have their entire own universe and story arc if you go to the comics.
Yeah.
So I think that was something that they needed to put out first, is that all Skrulls aren't bad. Because the only thing we have on Skrulls so far is that they are bad.
Yeah. Which they might even stick with. They might not leave there to be any ambiguity, just to have like some sort of villain. Because if you think about it, like after Thanos, Marvel is going to have a hard time finding an overarching villain.
That's true.
You know, so
and I think the Skrull would be the Skrull, or I always forget their names, but the Seers, the Lords, the Gods, the Celestials. Thank you. You know exactly. I know you always know when I bring them up, and I always forget their name. Celestials. It's either going to have to be the Skrulls or the Celestials, in my opinion.
For sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, man. I think that we should give. Oh, so there's an episode of the making of next week that we'll probably have a chat about, so we can continue this one more time.
Yes,
but let's give our final reviews for WandaVision. I'm going to say I'm going to be a bit more charitable with my estimation, because as I said, I think the entirety of it is it's literally the last 10% is not a 10 out of 10. So I'm going to bring it to a 9 out of 10 in its entirety. Maybe even a 9.5, but really that ending for me is it just made me feel a little bit empty. And I don't like that like empty feeling, like what was this all for? And so that makes it a little bit hard for me to give it a perfect 10, but everything else is just wonderful. It's original. It's a great detailed story. It's a great contained story that you don't even really have to know too much about anything else in order to understand. Right. And yeah, so I definitely give it a 9 out of 10.
Okay. Well, you have the 9 out of 10, and earlier in the episode, I said 9.5, but I've been thinking, took a few notes, and I said to myself, if I got to 5 things that made me question the end of the series, I would bring it down to another 0.5. So I'm going to have to give it a solid 9 as well. Something that I thought about right now, and I didn't think about this before. Did you really just give us 2 mid-scene Easter eggs? Really? But you're not giving us a season 2? Okay.
Yeah.
That definitely was like 2 points right there.
Yeah, exactly. Like, why are you going to tease us? And that was my biggest problem, because like had it just been like no stinger at the end with Wanda and then hearing her children, it's like, all right, man. So this was for nothing.
Right. I was comfortable I was uncomfortable but comfortable ending with the Skrull, but ending with that Scarlet Witch cabin scene, I didn't really even think about it until we started talking about it. And if I'm honest, I don't even have it in my notes, because I didn't. As much as it jumped out to me, it didn't seem like it was going to change anything except give us more questions, which it did.
Yeah.
And so to now really reflect on it with you, like, no, that disappointed me. That lost it an extra 0.2 points right there. And then the other thing I was thinking of, the Dr. Lewis moment, which was already a thing that I was just irritated by.
Yeah.
the confusion of the whole Pietro scene.
Well, and Hayward was very one-dimensional too. Like,
right, I was just gonna say, I'm like, in Hayward,
yeah.
it's like, okay, so if you're the big bad, how are you gonna just sit here after she just tried to lock you into this vehicle? He's gonna still be trying to get out.
Yeah.
So after I thought of that, nine flat. Still love it. It's still a wonderful series.
Still great. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you guys watch Screen Time Continuum, I've given things some 2.5.
Yeah, we've been less than charitable most of the time. But yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think this was really good. It made me feel for the characters. It makes me really look forward to what they do next. Yeah. I'm just a little bit empty inside about the way things were left off. So hopefully in the future, they'll kind of wrap that up in a nice bow. Marvel likes to do that. But yeah, that's all I got, man. Anything else?
No, that's all for me. If I can honestly say, I hope that maybe we get a short, like a few 5-7 minute shorts of White Vision, of Monica, of Darcy, and how she will get to the universe and be involved in the Loki situation. Because I get what you're saying, and that is almost inevitable. She may not show till halfway through the season or something.
Yeah,
that's almost inevitable. So I'm looking forward to those things. They have a lot of things that they are putting on their docket that I've seen and I'm really interested in. So from this to those things that they have coming forth, even if they don't give us more WandaVision, I think I'll still be a fan for a while.
Yeah, me too. Do you think it's possible that Wanda might come into the Loki series?
Maybe one episode, but not in the way that we would want. In the sense of Loki being Loki and having I wouldn't call it a filler episode, but just one of those goofy episodes because it's Loki where he somehow intervenes into, say, episode 1 or 2 of WandaVision. Right. And, when they were doing the dated kind of stuff.
Maybe he's the mailman.
Yeah. Maybe he's the mailman or something like that. Yeah. I think it's like one of those little and then he just goes back and it's like, I see what you guys did there. That was cool. Okay.
Right. Yeah. I could see. Well, thank you so much, you guys, for listening. We really hope you enjoyed this episode. We hope you enjoyed WandaVision as a whole. We will be back next Saturday to talk about the making of episode. But thank you so much for listening. We very much appreciate you. If you want to check out Keelan's podcast, If Numbers Could Talk, it's on Tuesday nights at 6 p.m. I also do a podcast named ExoFathom. It's on Monday and Friday nights at 8 p.m. Then we got Screen Time Continuum coming back, talking about, are we doing Game of Thrones next week or what?
I believe we are on Game of Thrones season 5, but if we're being honest, guys, we haven't really discussed that because we were too excited for WandaVision.
Yeah, that's fair.
We'll see what you get.
We'll see. It could be a surprise. But yeah, we are on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m. and now we're doing Saturdays at 12 p.m. for future. So thank you so much, you guys, for listening. We very much appreciate you. Please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel. It would very much help us. We're trying to grow this channel. We're trying to provide you guys with good content. So any feedback, any advice you have for like to see us review, please let us know in the comments and we will be sure to respond. Other than that, for Screen Time Continuum, I'm Nick, and that is Keith. Yes. And thank you guys so much. And we appreciate it. Good night, everyone.
Thanks, guys.